Some weeks ago, we reported on renewed efforts and hopes for redeveloping the former Loring Air Force Base in Aroostook County. Those stories led us to another story about part of the history of that base and a man from Maine who died for his country. As we mark Veterans Day, 207's Don Kerrigan tells us about a surprising chain of events which allowed that serviceman's family to reach back over the years and literally touch his memory.
The old Air Force Base in northern Maine is largely empty now. The airmen and their bombers that fought the Cold War have been gone for 30 years. But the name is still here, and that matters for Maine.
What kind of a guy was he?
He didn't bother people, but if they bothered him, he took care of them.
Paul Loring is talking about his older brother Charlie, known to the world as Major Charles Loring, the man for whom Loring Air Force Base was named.
That's in front of our house on Anderson Street when Charlie came home for Christmas.
All 5 Loring brothers were in the service, 3, including Charlie, in World War II, Paul and brother Robert in the Korean War. Charlie was the pilot, flying a P-47 fighter in the Battle of the Bulge. He was shot down over Belgium and bailed out to safety.
And he was captured by 2 German soldiers in uniform, and they were 16 years old. He was in the hospital for a while, then they put him in a Stalag 3, I think it was, prisoner of war camp.
But that time as a POW was apparently locked in his brother's memory.
That's when he told my father and mother that he would never become a prisoner of war again.
Really?
After that, 5 months.
And you've thought about that since then, right?
Always think about that.
Because in 1950, the 34-year-old Major Charles Loring was sent to war in Korea, a war from which he did not come home.
What happened over in Korea, the plane was shot up pretty bad.
And Charlie Loring then intentionally drove his P-80 jet into the Chinese artillery that had been attacking American troops.
They all said the same. They were witnesses that he pulled up his plane deliberately, and he could have went to the right back to his home base, but he deliberately made 45-degree turn and crashed into the Chinese artilleries, destroying them.
So, knowing that would kill himself.
Right.
For that remarkable act of heroism and sacrifice, Major Loring was awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor, and the Air Force Base in his home state took Charlie's name. When the base closed in 1994, Major Loring's portrait and the Medal of Honor were given to the city of Portland to display. A memorial was eventually built on the Eastern Prom. And then, less than 2 years ago, Paul Loring got a phone call from Belgium.
Did you think it was a scam?
We did at first.
2 men in Belgium had dug up pieces of a P-47 in a field, the same plane Charlie Loring bailed out of in December 1944. The men packed up those pieces and mailed them to the Loring Air Museum in Limestone.
So this box that we have started out on quite a journey.
And in October, Cuppy Jandro and others from the museum brought the still unopened box to Portland, to the Charles Loring AmVets post. There, with other veterans and the Loring family looking on, she and Paul opened the box and reached back 79 years.
This is the first piece, so grab a hold of that.
The buckle from Charlie Loring's seatbelt.
It was all rusted and broken, and she said, Cuppy said, I want you to pull it out of the plastic envelope because that's the last thing your brother touched before he bailed out. So that was, I choked up a little bit then.
Piece after piece, dirty, time-worn, many unidentifiable.
That's a bullet. You can tell by the end of it.
The Loring family saw the remnants of the plane that had carried Paul's brother to his first war. Most of the pieces have gone back to the old base, back to the museum.
So the family's given us photos over the years, but nothing that was actually Charles himself. This was his airplane, this was his aircraft, this was something he piloted and was proud of, and it was the very thing that put him in a concentration camp.
2 pieces stayed with Paul and will be kept by the family. Nothing was ever recovered from Charlie's plane in Korea. These are what they have.
In a sense, this is a piece of him,
Yes, yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, that's like the closure. I would say to me it's a closure that touched the parts of the plane that he flew.
There is also his portrait in City Hall, and his medal, and the memorial. And up north, where there used to be an Air Force base, is the Loring Air Museum, where they say the name and memory of Charlie Loring will live on.
If you can't get to the Loring Air Museum in Limestone, you can visit the Loring Memorial in Portland. It's located on the Eastern Promenade on the hilltop looking over Back Cove, not far from where Charlie Loring grew up. And we've included his Medal of Honor citation on our website. It might be worth your time to read it. Coming up next.